My name is Michael Curry, as I've been introduced. So yes, I guess I was looking through the colleges, the very nice colleges that the executive board is from, and I guess I'll put a shout out to Naib for being from Stony Brook. We're from Stony Brook. I did 3 degrees there, so I spent enough time over there. I don't think I want to go back for a while. Anyway, I figured this is remarkable for me because I've never been invited to be a keynote speaker before, so I consider it to be quite an honor to be standing before you giving this speech. And it took me a long time to get my head wrapped around the concept that I would be coming and standing in front of tremendous mathletes who have done have tremendous accomplishments throughout the school year. I see these beautiful awards. I took a look at them before the ceremony began, and it's quite amazing. I get the same exact feeling when I set foot at Penn State for the ARML competition. How many of us are going to ARML? Yeah, raise your hands. Oh, you can lie. More people should go. So anyway, I figured I'd start with a quick story. It's a related story to math and statistics. I studied applied mathematics and statistics. I studied operations research at Stony Brook University, and I have a friend of mine who has a 10-year-old child, and the 10-year-old child, 4th grade, comes home and with 3 plants. You know, a tray full of 3 plants, okay? Very excited, I'm happy to be over the house, and the child says, Mom, I have to put these plants, one of them has to go on the windowsill, plenty of light, you know, plenty of light, it's gonna grow, I'm gonna feed it these pellets. Another plant is gonna go in the cupboard, in some closet someplace, no light, no nothing, we're still gonna water it, but it's not gonna get any light. And then the 3rd plant is gonna go in a room that's got some light, but not a lot of light, it's just gonna, not direct sunlight, and we're going to feed it and water it and everything else. 6 weeks, we're going to bring these plants back, and you can imagine what's going to happen. It's a little statistics exercise at 4th grade. We're going to measure the leaves, and we're going to make hypothesize about what's going to happen. More light, bigger leaves, small amount of light, smaller leaves. You can imagine what's going to happen, right? Okay, so 6 weeks goes by. My phone rings. Mike, the plants are dead. The plants are dead, all of them, they're all dead. So the mother, my friend, says, well, what am I going to do? I said, well, have your daughter bring the dead plants to school. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do about this? She says, well, I already went to the store and bought new ones. No. You don't buy new ones. That's going to mess everything up. Let's talk about bias in the experiment. You know, if you bring new plants. So come to find out that she did buy a new plant. She did bring it to school. Come to find out that half the classes' plants were all dead. So we had a good laugh on that one. The teacher, in the meantime, with all the parents that felt bad about this experiment and going so wrong, she ended up with a whole windowsill full of new plants that all the families brought for all the dead ones. So I think it kind of worked out one way or the other. But in any case, so it just really struck me as funny because here you have a real life experience for a 4th grader, and I thought the experiment was a good one. Right? If you think about it, you know, more light, great sunlight. It's a great experience for the kid. But in any case, let me get to the keynote speaker part. The title of what I was going to say, I was going to talk about collaboration. I guess I'm at Google. Google is very big on collaboration. If you've read anything about the way that Google operates. If you know anything about the way I operate, putting together math contests like NSBL and ARML, I believe fully in collaboration. And I just want to give you a little idea of where it comes from, and then make a few recommendations to you when you are on to your next journey. I guess, so this is you've competed, not everyone in the room is necessarily a senior, but you're going to be thinking about college and what comes next. So when I first set foot at Stony Brook, I had a lot of trouble in school. Okay, I was not the mathematical, I didn't have nearly the mathematical prowess that I currently have, and I had a hard time. So I would sit in classes and I would literally try and write down everything that the professor was saying. Some professors would go real fast and kind of just write everything that you might see professors that just, you know, write on the board like this, and you're trying to write everything down, trying to literally understand what's happening. And I discovered that I couldn't do it. So I started bringing a tape recorder to school, right? I figured tape recorder. I'll just tape the lesson and then I can kind of fill in the blanks as it goes. It all was going too fast. That didn't work either. What I discovered in the early 90s when I was in school was that you can some of the larger sections that I was taking of the classes actually had more than one section. So this is way before YouTube. This is way before you can kind of just get any amount of information that you wanted just at will by looking at your phone. You just, I have an infinite amount of information on this phone here. You didn't have that. You actually had to find a way to learn it. So if you couldn't get it from the book, I would actually attend other lectures. I would go and find another section being taught by a different professor of the same exact class, and I'd sit in that class. And then I'd start bothering people. I'd start going to office hours. And then the professors would say, "You're not even in my class." I'm like, "Yeah, but I need to know what you're telling me. You're gonna have to you tell me what's happening here." And I would do that. I would stalk people. Okay? But in any case, like I said, I was having a hard time and I didn't want to give up, so I would do this. So if you think about nowadays, it's a lot different. You can actually, if you want to learn about, partial derivatives or something like that, you can just literally go to YouTube and type partial derivatives and get a college level education on how to do partial derivatives. Not the case back then. Okay, so then the other trick was, remember I was having a hard time in college, I discovered something else. As soon as I understood something, okay, if you gave me a few hours, it might go out of my head. I'd forget it. Right? Has this ever happened to anybody? Right, it happens to people. So another trick was, I would find somebody and explain it to them. I would literally grab hold of people. I would say, I'd be in class, I'd say, "Okay, let's have lunch, blah, blah, blah." And as soon as I understood how a certain thing worked, I would just randomly start explaining that to somebody else. Okay, because when you explain something to somebody else, it stays in your head more. Okay, and then this is the beginning of my real take on collaboration. Okay, so I'm collaborating with you and you're collaborating with me, we're just throwing the subject around. Okay? So, if you put it this way, okay, I basically got my way through college by inventing little techniques like this. The core reason why I was having such a hard time when I was in college is because I grew up, and I still have, dyslexia. Okay, so if you think about that, I had a hard time even processing the information. So I was looking for any and all strategies to keep the information present, be able to do well in the exam, and then go forward with it. Okay, so I began to wonder, and did I lose the mic? Hello? Oh, there we go. So I began to build these little strategies to try to get the information to stay in my head, and I began to take more and more complicated classes. So I eventually switched over to being an economics major, and I also took applied mathematics as an undergraduate. And I would literally, like I said, stalk people and get study groups together and pull together and just literally stay up all night just talking about the material, and that would be how I would study. Okay? So if you understand dyslexia is when you basically have a hard time reading printed text. You hear these things about people switching letters around and such like that. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. Another way to look at it is that you have a hard time just processing the information. So for me, I had to stay verbal, okay, and visual. So in order to do that, I had to find people that wanted to be visual and verbal at the same time. So as I progressed towards the end of my college career, I began to say, well, okay, is this a powerful technique? So in every class that I've ever taught, currently I'm teaching at the college level, but I had a very lengthy career teaching at the high school level. Basically, if you look at it this way, let's kind of turn it around. I've known a lot of students who have 4.0 GPAs in college. Okay, with a 4.0 GPA, you basically have a fair chance of getting to go anywhere you want to go. Okay, every single student that I know that has a 4.0 GPA did something besides just studying at the desk and then taking the exam the next day. So active learning is basically the point. So in any case, we're talking about collaboration. Okay, so when you think about an event like ARML, okay, or NISWL, or putting anything like that together, if you think about basically any large-scale project. Have you ever seen the movie, if you've ever seen this movie, there's a movie called, what's it called? It's called, oh, it just went out of my head. Oh, Hidden Figures. Have you ever seen this movie, Hidden Figures? Yes. Okay. It's a great movie. Okay? And if you look in the movie, this is NASA in the early stages, but what I really enjoyed about this movie is that it highlights the collaboration piece. Everybody in that movie who tries to take singular credit for what goes on, trying to put this missile on the moon, basically is not really viewed as a very good character in that movie. It's the people who are collaborating and contributing. Okay? So if you want to take some advice as you go on to your next step, I would definitely say that collaboration is the thing. Okay. So here comes the recommendation part. As you go forward, if I were giving advice, I would say stay friendly. Okay. Stalk people. Okay, in a friendly way. Make sure that you are the type of person that is not going to be sort of singular in that, it's all mine, I'm a great person, I'm going to achieve, I'm going to achieve, I'm going to achieve. The more that you allow yourself to be a collaborative person, the more you'll achieve. For me, it was a virtual, it was a necessity, let's put it that way. I couldn't learn just from a book. I had to be a collaborator in order to get further. Okay? And that allowed me to get to where we are here, standing in front of you and having a speech. So anyway, and let's see. So I'm just looking at my notes, I'm sorry. Okay, so in any case, that's the crux of my speech, all about collaboration. I guess I'll tell you one more thing, and then I'll end the little speech here. I have just a tiny story. It's right up our alley, being that we're all great math teachers and students. So it's just a little one. So think outside the box. So this might not be historically accurate, but we're going to go with it anyway. Okay. So you have a king. Okay, and he's looking to retire. He wants to be a king, and he doesn't really want to be king anymore, but he wants to know that his kingdom is going to be left to the most capable person. And he has 3 sons. Okay? So he says to his sons, he gathers them, and he says, okay, sons, here's what we're going to do. I want to give the control of the kingdom to the most capable person among you 3. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you each $100,000. Right? Quite literally, we have an infinite amount of money. You're going to take $100,000. And then you're going to take a room, like this one. There's 3 barns, let's say. 1, 2, 3. I want you to take that $100,000, and tomorrow, I just want you to fill it up with as much stuff, let's say, I want you to fill it as much as you can. Okay, so take the $100,000, and tomorrow you're just going to fill it. Okay, great, that's a great challenge. $100,000, no problem. So what does he do? The first son says, all right, great. I'm going to get my friends, all my friends, we're going to go to the junkyard, and buy as much junk as we can, and we're going to haul it into this room, this barn. We're going to fill it all up. So they do that all day long. Fill up the room all with junk. Second son, he says, you know what? Hay is pretty cheap. I'm going to buy a lot of hay. Right? An awful lot of hay. Okay? So they do that. He gets his friends. They fill this room. They fill it to the brim with junk and hay. Okay? Now the third son, all day long, he says, you know what? I'm going to take my girlfriend out tonight. We're going to go out and have dinner. What a great idea. Oh, yeah. Oh. Right, so he does that. He spends the whole day. He's got $100,000. Right? Can you imagine the kind of fun you could have in one day with $100,000? He did that. Whatever it is that just popped in your head, he went and did that. Okay? The two brothers come to him and say, while he's at dinner, and they say, what are you doing? You're throwing away the opportunity of a lifetime. You left it just a 2-horse race. It's just going to be either the garbage guy or it's going to be the hay guy. What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. He goes, well, let me understand this. We have to meet with Father tonight. Yes, we have to meet with Father tonight. Great, that's all I need to know. Okay. Cut to the meeting. Okay, the father who shows up to the junk room, right? He says, wow, you did a great job filling this room with junk. So why did you take, let me explain something to me. Why did you take $100,000 of good money and buy junk with it? Explain that to me. So he proceeds to slap his son up the head. He's like, there's no way you're going to rule a land if you think it's a great idea to buy junk. Second, he says, oh my goodness, you filled the whole thing with hay. Well, the horses are going to be happy, right? But same thing, right? What good does that do? So he comes to the third son. And he says, well, what have you done? He opens it up. He says, Dad, I filled this whole room. And he goes, wait a second. It's not really filled with anything. He goes, oh, hold on a second. And he takes the lighter from the table. Oh, my God. And he strikes the lighter.
Candlelight.
He filled the room with light. Isn't that fun? So the third son is the one who has the kingdom, and there you go. So anyway, there's my story. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you for a little bit. And I hope you enjoy this.
good